What's up, kinfolk? Good.
Apple is doubling down on Houston.
Yeah, the tech giant is expanding factory operations and will be producing its popular Mac Mini right here in the Bayou City. The company says the Houston campus will grow significantly, adding new production lines and increasing AI server manufacturing already underway at the site. This expansion will create thousands of jobs, and later this year, Apple plans to open a new advanced manufacturing center in Houston.
Why do y'all suppose Mama taught you, son, don't never go out here and make a deal with the devil? You see, you her baby. She love you. And the one most thing that she knew about the devil is that sooner or later, the devil is coming and he's going to collect his due. And he is not taking no for an answer. Check, look, how many of y'all familiar with this term? Gentrification. This is when poor folk like you and I are being hoodwinked, bamboozled by rich, wealthy folks that only want to take advantage of us. See, they'll make us promises of improved housing. They'll make us promises of good business that's going to come through. To all my kinfolk out in Houston, Texas, before you run out and sell your property, before you allow your neighbor to run out and sell his or her property, remember this. Business only come to your town unless they can make money. And business don't care at whose expense that they make that money. Now I want you to ask yourself, what would make a company come from Asia and put up business in the United States of America? Because see, the object to business is to buy low, sell high. The cheaper the product that he can make and the more that he can sell it for is a bigger profit. He can make this product a hell of a lot cheaper than he can in the United States of America. So why is he coming? Why is he here? See, that ain't nothing but the devil, y'all. But I can tell you this. What about the tariffs that Donald Trump imposed? Check this one out.
U.S. President Donald Trump on Saturday said he will raise a temporary tariff from 10% to 15% on U.S. imports from all countries, the maximum level allowed under the law. The move is in response to the U.S. Supreme Court's decision to invalidate his previous tariff program that it said exceeded his authority as president.
The Supreme Court's ruling on tariffs is deeply disappointing.
The new levies are grounded in a separate law known as Section 122 that allows tariffs up to 15%, but requires congressional approval to extend them after 150 days. Trump, in a social media post, said he would use that period to work on issuing other legally permissible tariffs.
But wait a minute now, kinfolk. Remember we said the devil will collect his due at any cost to anybody? Over there in the country of these companies' origin, there are scrutiny, disputes about unfair labor practices. Look, just a couple years back here, workers had band together and went in protest. They were describing the working conditions like a prison. Workers was being forced, physically forced to go to work. In addition to the force, workers were being abused.
But if protest here is hard to document, hard to catch, crucially, it is not actually uncommon.
They was expecting for those folks to work high hours with less pay and more work demand. Now I want you to ask yourself, if these companies don't care about their own people, then why in the hell would you think they would care about you in America? The next question would probably be, Why would these fat cat politicians uptown allow for something like this to even potentially happen? I tell you why. Because they don't care about us. They have already gotten rid of public health agencies like the FDA, OSHA, EPA. These people were the people on the front lines protecting us in the workplace from hazards, including even the medications that we was getting. But what did the politicians do once again? They shut down the powers and prerogatives of these organizations. Texas has already had problems with the same chemicals that can derive from the manufacturing of these products that these Asians are bringing in. They've already had this problem out in Texas. When the Air Force was using these products, especially in things like firefighting training, where it's done seeped down off into the ground and got into the water table. But what did the Air Force have to do? They had to go around and they had to put in filters for people can have safe drinking water. But ask yourself this. Do you honestly think those Asians are going to do that? See, the U.S. Air Force is USA based. But these Asians that's coming in, you ain't got no constitution you can throw up in their face. When we talk about the production of these servers, there's a product on the inside of these servers that's called a GPU. A GPU is a graphic processing unit. Well, when they're manufacturing this particular unit, what they use is chemicals, and they're called forever chemicals. And the reason why they're called that is because they are progressive. A drop of these chemicals could leak onto the ground. And it don't stop there because they don't break down in the environment and they don't break down in the human body. So once they seep into the ground, they get down into what they call the water table. So if you living in a surrounding area, a surrounding town, or in a neighborhood close to this plant that they're building, then your drinking water can become contaminated. But the type of contamination effects is the problem. You see, these chemicals cause infertility, cancer, respiratory illnesses, all of the above. Now, when you think about it, especially you black folks out there and you poor whites, because they've already called you undesirables and you know it, one of the greatest ways to kill off an undesirable is to stop his ability to reproduce himself. If the men stop being fertile over there in China, they've had people who have been working with these chemicals, dealing with these units in this manufacturing areas. They have become sterile. They can't produce children. So when you lack the ability to reproduce yourself, now you ain't got to worry about having a community. You can't grow. Without children, that's the end of you. So once again, if the devil is coming to collect his due, and if the devil is evil, this must mean that the politicians uptown have got to be in the bed with the devil, which means they have got to be equally evil or more evil. Y'all put down in the comment section and let me know what you think. And until the next time, travel on and travel well.
Good.